is going to run this for a little bit over an hour. But the reason that we got it was to show you guys 500 watts of peak output. And this was the closest thing we could find that could push this puppy to its limits. Nope. 58 watts, 178 watts, it's going away, 191, 150. See? This would be 400 watts, 470. That's why you want something a little bit lower capacity. And anyway, if you're not like freaking space blanket, you're not going to need this much heat. Here we go. We got the Strix. Is this just a bag full of memes, Colin? I'm Stress Man. That's great. You're stressed out. Ah, that's fair enough. I guess you could drink the view inside if you were really desperate. Stress Man with a BBL. The best thing about the LTT store line is plushie is its groundbreaking design. Whoa! Earthquake! Ah! Nope. 178 watts. It's going, boys. 191. 370. Or 50. See? This would be 400 watts. 470. Might want something a little bit more happening anyway. Not in space flight. You're not going to need it. Here we go. We got the Strix. Okay, is this just a bag full of memes, Colin? I'm Stress Man. Perfect. I guess you could drink the view inside if you were really desperate. Stress Man, you know. Now these are cool. I'm something of a sock enthusiast. Oh, these I know about. We've got electric socks. Now you might laugh at that and go, oh, you're not going to stress me with electric socks. This is actually a way more practical way of heating yourself up than just having a space heater. You're just going to throw most of that energy out into the air around you. And actually, I would want to be non-stupid and not have another sock on underneath. In fact, insulators are insulators. So the more barriers you put between the heat source and your body, the less heat gets built in your body. Just so you know. My battery. Oh yeah! This just gets better and better. We've got the neck. What we got here? Black diamond green. That's cool. We're hanging it. That. Nice. Not even need to charge cables from here. This is more camping tech than computer tech, but Lifestraw is sick. It can anywhere from 3 to 6 dynes of bacteria, parasites, and microplastics, and reduces chlorine as well as lead. Water. I have no idea what they I can use it for those scary expired packs. Are you serious? What, I just stick this in the thing? Oh my god. I really don't want this, really. It's water. Okay. How's it down? Oh, it's doing another thing. I don't like this. What are you doing? I'll do it. Just give me a second. Ah, you really gotta go at it. Wow, that's actually pretty cool. That's so cool. Alright, let's get our more stuff to anchor. So here we've got even more USB ports. We really need those because we've got the power station, but this is just a nice little multi-tap power extend USB-C 3, which naturally we'll be using with our gaming device. Is that like really games, PC games, stuff, or is it batteries? Spicy sausage.
感谢上百番投喂的虎虎生威。
Dark chocolate mousse. The Flux Energy Chews, as well as another anchor power brick. This one
这边好多公园啊，我才发现。
The Top Solar. Nice little. Oh, there you go. Solar panel for when it's daytime again, and it's time to recharge this particular brick. Once you get the brick, is that all you gotta do is turn around this little buddy right here. What's really nice about this guy is we can also use this, not just the large power station, to charge a laptop or portable gaming device like this, like a high voltage device. At 94 watt hours, it's nearly double the battery life of a laptop, and it will do 2 full charges of a smaller device like the Neo. Another minute of sport to consume all this food. This is great. And apparently I'm supposed to start with the Rex multi-purpose emergency ration crackers, the expired ones. Biscuits, like we want to call them. We're not allowed to use that secret anymore.
Those are good.
So these are good.
Those look good.
They look good.
Yep.
Okay. 1 every 6 hours per person. Okay. Okay, let's prepare the biscuit. Not bad, but I think we can do better. Let's try one of our other things. Well, I guess the first thing we gotta do is put some water in. This is the Jet Boiled Micro. It's called and is very powerful. What differentiates this from the other jet boil this size is that it does more than just boil water, it naturally cooks. Realistically, you know, if it doesn't boil enough, maybe probably not good one for you. Seconds. How did it go?
Hi, I'm Greg, owner and founder of Steel Frame Spots. Due to unusually short fingers, which are a characteristic of my family line, I was unable to play spots at the elite level I would have liked to. Instead, I invested my energy into getting you the lowest prices possible on athletic gear. Unlike the local sports teams, you can count on us every year. I fight every day to get you the best deals. I'll never drop the ball on prices, and that's because low prices and my customers' happiness are not affected by the short fingers mentioned earlier in the advertisement. Just remember, when the game's on the line, who do you count on? Steel Frame Spots. That's who. Check out our ad in the Weekly Nickel.
We are the law. Accountant. The law accounting. I know what you're thinking. Are we lawyers? Are we accountants? Well, it's a complicated question, probably requiring the services of a lawyer and an accountant. Is that us? Well, what do you think? Seems to me that there's a lot of you out there who might need the use of the law accounting. But that's not legal advice. That's life advice. In fact, we're legally barred from providing legal advice. The law accounting, officially unlicensed since 2005.
Someone else. Meeting.
I'm Troy Anderson. This is Downtown Radio.
Taste is good though. Yeah, when you want to like go punch. I'll just hang here. Oh, you got my domain? You freaking got it. That's too bad. Also, back, which means the power can be coming back. Yeah, pretty much any. We survived the Technopolis. This is a completely different video. Thanks, Anchor, for watching it. It's a cool backup side. Just computer for a change, so you can see their full lineup of power solutions, chargers, really, yes, power cables, and the link down below. If you guys like this video, maybe go check out the Nebula Cosmo project on short circuit. That's a sub-brand maker, so that's what we definitely see before. Never mind, we haven't that. Today's video involves taking this, and this, and this, and like these boxes are, like they're not empty, you know, they're full of stuff, and this, and this, and this, and putting them all in here. This, my friends, we are going to make a full custom gaming rig that is small enough that you can conceivably shoplift it in your hoodie. LTTstore.com. It's awesome. While you're at it, check out our sponsor for today's video. The Anchor PowerPort Apps and Wall Charger fits in your pocket and charges your devices in a snap. Learn more at the end of the video or at the link in the video description. Let's kick this off with a look at the case that we're using to perform this feat. This is the Velcase VK3, and the whole thing is actually shockingly simple, at least on the surface. So we've got our front panel, which is just brushed aluminum with power button here. This is all one solid piece, so if from the back, to the bottom. Okay, then we've got two side panels that are fully perforated. On the top, they've got two 80mm fan mounts. They've actually got their own fan that they made. Seems to be the source of fan company. What's special about it is that it is super slim. Then on the bottom, they've got what looks like some mounting stuff. I've never done that before, so we're going to find out what that is. And then finally at the back, that gives you an idea of the scale of the project. And that is a motherboard I/O cutout. So I have no idea how all of this stuff, including an RTX 2060, is supposed to go in here. This thing's $80 though, so hopefully they've given it some $80 worth of stuff. I don't stand a chance of this, but it's quite certain. So now that the panels are off, we're getting a look at one of the first lies that I've told you guys in this video. So that's not actually the size of a standard I/O shield, and the reason that it's bigger is because it includes multiple sizes of motherboard standoffs, so that you can actually change exactly where the motherboard is mounted, depending on whether you have like a larger CPU cooler or you have a thicker graphics card. So that is how we are getting a dual slot graphics card with this thing. In fact, if you need to accommodate a longer expansion, see these slots? Well, the manual says to start by assembling your motherboard and CPU and random magnets. So we are using a white box, but this is an 18% board, but this is a SUSE's X570 ROG Strix Mini ITX motherboard. This is a truly special little piece of kit because it's got full support for up to AMD's upcoming 16-core processor. Now, we're not going that extreme. We actually just went for a 3700X 8-core processor because that was the most heat that we could handle with this right here. The NH-L9A AM4 from Mojave, which is the biggest cooler that we can fit in this case, with a dual-slot graphics card, but the capabilities of this thing are freaking sick. So why don't we start by getting our CPU installed here. Now we're going to go ahead and throw on our .2 SSD, so it's just one slot on this board. We actually have to use the riser things to bananas. This. Is going to be great. Now we've got some engines, LPS, low profile ones. This is 32 and C16 kit, so nothing special, but pretty close about unlocking our CPU's full potential there. And now we got to install our cooler. Crazy. This motherboard's so small they don't even have to put all the fan headers in different places because you'd be able to do it anywhere. So there's our CPU fan header. Then we're going to go ahead and cable manage it. Kind of like that, I guess. So we're going to go that way. Put our graphics burner. There's a second M.2 slot on this board. It's on the back. So do I even use the I/O port? I guess not then. You do. That is one freaking dense bit of computer performance. Although I have noticed a potential problem. We know that this cooler is as thick as this thing can handle, but the SSD should peaks out above it a little bit. So we might run into a clearance issue here. So here's where it gets real, ladies and gentlemen. Wait, what? Normally, you would take your motherboard standoffs and you put them into your back plate or motherboard tray and then you put the motherboard on there. Not today. With the motherboard, lay it against the back plate, and then we drive.
建立了世界大战纪念公园，纪念前2次世界大战，因为现在已经联合国了，已经再也不会有世界大战。然后这边海边正好有那种碉堡，还有壕沟，就是遗址。我想把这片区域干脆做成纪念公园。那还有加一个墓地，就像那种世界吃沙纪念，大家都喜欢吃沙石。你种出来了吗？它种完以后，难道不能再种了吗？你第一次收获完以后，它不会再长吗？啥？哦，好。吃掉，吃掉沙沙，掉吃掉。打死。我打算组一个新的地震求生包，因为我之前的也过期了，我想买一些那些。其实你没必要，它很多现在卖的求生包全都是溢价，如果你自己组的话，你能以1/5的价格。就比如说食物很简单，你就去买那个超市里的压缩饼干，你都没有必要买。就简单来说，找什么？找能量高的，然后保质期越长就行。 你不用管，就只要它保质期长，能量越高越好，热量越高越好。主要是温哥华也是地震带，还是背。而且我这个桌，我有个好处就是我房间里这个桌子很坚固，它都是钢梁什么，可以直接钻到桌子下面。
装在桌子上，因为桌子就是电脑会长，你，我感觉把毛绒热拿进去，把毛绒插在外面砸死，抽到这个毛。我会把毛绒热拽。我那个拽到怎么没用？
其实是鲨鱼尾，鲨鱼直升会。
是啊，因为它为了爬下来要保护。
鲨鱼被我弄死。世界大战纪
You're
念公
listening
园。
to Downtown Radio 109.7 FM. I'm Troy Anderson, providing you a fitting soundtrack for that city life you're living.
世界吃鲨纪念。我吃鲨呢。United Nation。当然，随手拍。真漂亮。啊，在这里拍的。架在这里，架在这里，然后用它那个 cinematic， 然后就把 FOV 调到最小，模拟短焦镜头，然后你找一个合适的地方，这样一架。否则你正常拍的话，它会有畸变，没有那种感，所以这样就能模拟长焦的质感。看看这地方，多么的热！这downtown，而且车也不堵，车多但是也不堵，这最完美。公园世界大战纪念免费哈，当然免费。啊，有人在看这个哈，不是玩开始是2块钱，死一次就投一个币，30秒内投一个币继续复活币，一个币是一加币。我们2个人玩通关6关50分钟，花了一共30，就一个人15，一个人死15分钟，很容易。而且他那个盾是不能回的，你懂吗？因为街机如果你还能回盾，他怎么赚钱？所以你不能回盾。不过真的挺好玩，真的挺好玩。这种体验，尤其是那个机枪，大机枪，你双手握，震的，我操，那手柄都比不了，震得我手的妈！哒哒哒哒哒，然后里面声音都是开到最大的，这个，我操！ 50分钟，但是我第一段没录上，第一段没开，我操！第一关没开，不知道为什么。他没能。而且这油猪号直接把亡魂不是那个，哎呦我操！不是亡魂是亡魂，还有那个，我总是忘了天上飞的那玩意儿。反正直接给干爆去，中间士官长还出来几次，因为他是光环1的故事，他是光环1同步，而且他补充，如果没有这帮人的话，士官长很可能达不成你的任务，就没有然后，他们牺牲了自己，为秋风之墩号引爆那个引擎争取了时间，因为有个圣甲虫当时在路上，他们拖住了那辆车。对。这个无线火箭筒，这现在是斯巴达大根堪比，但是这个玩意。但是毕竟这个，对，它其实应该是算好，除非你技术更烂。我们已经很努力，因为主要是它这种街机不是很街机游戏，一般是没有什么故事模式，就比如说赛车什么，就是一直投币，一直投币，一直投。它这个它有这个，就很多人打完剧情就不玩了，所以它可能就赚不了多少钱，你懂。他应该出过对战，他好像没有对战，好像只有 PVP。如果有对战就好了。 我们玩那个秋名山漂移，两个人，我操，那刺激的，就是真的每一个弯道都是争夺战，咬的非常紧，真的太刺激。但是那些街机赛车的画面真的很拉，我觉得微软应该赶紧给极限竞速搞抢占这片市场，那将是绝杀，好吧？他们那些画面简直了都。
我要是有钱，我直接就加一个。
那也倒是，那就他那个方向盘加上油门刹车是真的爽，其实自己也可以搞。
我也可以。
太小，我们俩死一般都是同步死，就是我死他马上死了都。他绝对是设计好，他两边敌人配置也是一样。我吃掉了一只沙沙，真的是。
You're listening to Downtown Radio, and I'm your host, Troy Anderson. Isn't it weird how history repeats itself? Just look at how trends go in cycles. What was cool in the 60s was totally lame in the 70s. Then, right out of the blue, the very same clothes and the very same shoes shoot right back to style. That's funny. Well, here's another tune for you.
他那个叫什么来着？那个电浆步枪不，电浆手枪不能蓄力，然后针刺枪也不是跟踪的，其实。343，那什么时候？其实街机还挺，我希望它多出几个，它体验确实不一样，体验和别的都不一样。挺有意思，不是街机厅人可多了，我看生意好是，我甚至我们排一个赛车游戏根本就排不到，那排了半天都这帮人都在排，就不知道为什么，我以为也是生意不行，结果一去看生意挺好的。我也觉得看出来，而且当时在那个他那个机器不知道为什么，就是他渡鸦小队本来有个扫二维码记录功能，那个功能用不了。然后他一开始纸钞他都不收，那个机器有不少问题。我们去问那个店员怎么样，结果回来就发现有一家人也在那玩，然后我们还得先等他们打半天再自己到我。然后我们一口气打了1个小时，直接打通了，没想。但没什么人在等，他们可能看有人就干脆就不来。那可不是我瞄的。小鳄，小鳄，这是你钓的。定啊，那当然。但你要7天把硬币准备好，别用着用着没，30秒，你要去跑去换钱。然后老来工作室在素里，就是我上课的地方。如果以后能去 LTT 工作就好，这是个好地儿。因为我更想去这种小公司，但是小公司好的你基本都进不去，不好的去了就倒闭。 就小公司氛围要好。你看机核、Test TV 都是那种，我很羡慕人家的，就是一个公司像一家人一样的，甚至大家大公司就没有。我现在开始填海造陆建人工岛，这个不够啊。什么？是谁吃了沙？是我吃的。干了。再放。 What the fuck?
Can you hear it? Listen closely. It's the sound of refreshment. Pop soda refreshment. Pop soda. Belch the best.
Lights, camera, movie. There's nothing like watching a movie to take you to another place or time. And there's no better place to watch than drone cinema. And no better time than the time it takes you to get from where you are to where we are. You'll break box office records of fun as you take a trip to Tinseltown, Movieville, USA. Action, cut, quiet on the set. Our theaters feature noise-absorbing fabric, guaranteeing the only thing you hear is the movie. That high-pitched shuttle drone is normal. It's the sound your ears hear when there's nothing for your ears to hear here. So come on down and enjoy the movies where everyone's a star.
You're listening to Downtown Radio on 109.7 FM.
recommend taking the system and this is just a long even if it seems like head to health, rocks being drugged, tear off. So I have seen things, guys. And people were talking about, one of the sounds that was post-traumatic stress disorder, talking about some of the shipping things in CMSTIS. And I think, Colin, at the time, you doubted me, didn't you? You doubted me. And then the Creeper PC, in spite of rating you, still managed to get his rating ship. That was that's what I'm just talking about. That doesn't seem to be possible, It just doesn't seem possible that we can be so nervous. Now to be put on saying that every local worker all in fact, the carriers that we deal with locally are by and large asked to get very specific. I'm just saying that a lot of people touch every package, I'm saying, and it only takes one bad apple to bruise it, if you know what I'm saying. Once it's bruised, everyone after there can be so gentle and so delicate and careful, but the damage is done, It just hurts it even more. So let's go ahead and grab some AM4 mounting brackets here. I really like that AMD still believes that you should just have decent mounting hardware included by default in motherboards. Occasionally, motherboard manufacturers will cheap out and you want a smaller plate on the back, and they'll just have the plastic bolts on the front, and then the holes will just be there, including plastic bolts for the holes. But most motherboard manufacturers do this, and it's impossible. It's impossible for that piece of technology to a gigantic steel backplate with fiberglass and copper and oh, I should say copper. That was pretty bad. Yeah, they got it right. Oh, okay. All right, great. That's how it felt. And remember when AMD had all those sockets? AMD plus CPU that Adam. They're in so much better place these days. Now we've got the second firm I'm going to call it the second family because it's sweet. All messed up. Okay, fine. Sorry, my wireless pack. Oh. See how close that was? This is how you make careless mistakes when you're live streaming. This is how you get ants. You don't put enough thermal paste on your heatsink. The ants get in there, they love to eat up that lack of thermal paste. That's their sugar. They don't like real sugar. been testing as well, so it's really been around the block. I'm just getting all these boxes kind of piled up here. Hey Colin, if I put these boxes over here, do you want to kind of rub it back together? Hey, you are good, sir. Yeah. Thank you. Alright, Scott, how you guys doing? You guys having a wonderful Thursday? Because I really hope so. But not spread the case, soft works DC. You don't spread case. Okay, you know what? Fine. We're gonna prove it today. We're gonna prove it. We're gonna prove that I don't need to spread the paste. Okay, so I'm gonna take this fan off here. There we go. And I'm gonna grab the trusty screwdriver. You know what? This was really nice. A viewer actually sent me a new one of my orange screwdriver because they noticed that I hadn't been using it lately. And you know what happened is the ratchet actually broke on me. It finally failed after all these years. I had used that screwdriver for about 18 years, and I was not its first owner, actually. So the ratchet finally failed, and while Snap-on does have a lifetime warranty, apparently, I have no idea how to claim it. I think you're supposed to, like, take it to their truck or something, and I don't work at a mechanic shop, so, like, Snap-on truck doesn't exactly come by all the time, and besides, it kind of has a lot of stuff.
重进一下，能卡什么东西？
Decided to retire it. So now I have a brand new one. So thank you for that. I might not end up using it for that long, if you catch my drift, but I'm using it now, and thank you very much. Okay, so I'm approved now. Why I don't have to spread the thermal paste. You guys ready? Here we go.
So it's that time of year again, a time to take a moment to reflect on the best of the last year. In this video, I'm going to be looking at the top 10 mods to come out for Fallout 4 in 2021. And this is a unique one for a couple of reasons. Some mods on this list were highly anticipated. We saw teasers for them for literally years before they actually did release and come out. Some other ones are contenders, not only for the best mod of 2021, but some of the best mods ever to come to Fallout 4. And perhaps most importantly, there's a few surprises mixed in. You could not predict everything I put on this list, as this is my personal opinion. My favorite 10 mods of 2021, not the most downloaded, not the most endorsed, just what I thought were the best and adding the most to this game. And I even have a few honorable mentions mixed in throughout. With that said though, let's start off with what I think could perhaps be one of the most obvious inclusions on this list, and that is Fallout 4 HD Overhaul. Since Fallout 4 released, Luxor has been releasing HD upgrades for various components of this game, whether it be the landscape, some of the actual objects in the world, ranging from things you see all the time to completely miscellaneous. And the HD Overhaul is really the culmination of all of that work. As the title suggests, what this is going to do is basically retexture all of Fallout 4 and all of its DLCs. In many ways, it does feel like this is several years of work all bundled into one, not one download, because the file sizes for this are massive, but really one comprehensive package that we're going to be paying attention to for a while. Fallout 4 honestly holds up pretty well, but one of the things that do start to fall short are the textures, and this is a huge upgrade on that. And even further, as we get down the road, as we are inevitably modding Fallout 4 5 years in the future, this is going to be that mod you continue to download. It's really one of the only options of its type, and it's the definitive one. If you want to make your Fallout 4 look better, you need the Fallout 4 HD Overhaul. You might install other smaller scale overhauls over top this that are more specified or editing things in a more unique way, but this is going to be your base code, the base layer that you want to download and install, and it's going to stay like that for a long time. It's really one of those mods that you download now and are probably going to keep in the background for the long haul, as long as you actually have the hard drive space. In a somewhat similar vein, we then have Mutant Menagerie, which I'm probably mispronouncing, but that's okay, as this too is an overhaul of Fallout 4's Commonwealth, but in a very different way. What this is going to do is add in a whole wealth of new creatures into Fallout 4. Many of these not being literally lore-friendly in that they didn't necessarily appear in other Fallout games, but just are generally lore-friendly in that they fit into this world. They don't feel out of place most of the time. Sometimes they have odd or wacky themes that feel very Fallout, like Bethesda definitely could have created these things. And even further, it does have the added benefit of integrating a bunch of the DLC creatures into the Commonwealth, so those will naturally spawn also. And really, the big reason that I think this is one of the best mods of 2021 is there's very few mods that actually do this, and it's an extremely effective method at actually making the Commonwealth feel more lively and unique on a modded playthrough. If you're watching this video, you've probably played Fallout 4. You probably played Fallout 4 more than once. You've encountered the same bugs just outside of Red Rocket or the feral dogs that you see running around hundreds of times at this point. Actually having something novel and unique there is a pretty rare thing in the modding scene, and this is one of the biggest packs that does it while still remaining lore-friendly. These creatures are dynamically added into the world, so you're just going to start finding them as you explore around. New and familiar faces now popping up in the Commonwealth. And there's a wide variety, from incredibly forgettable features that you're like, wait, is that a mod or am I just forgetting one of the DLC creatures, to things that completely stand out as unique and interesting. But don't stand out too much, as everything in this does feel very Fallout. And if this mod was only that, it would probably still be on this list, but it actually does take things a step further, as it also does have a really good implementation of actually giving you crafting recipes around many of these creatures. So you can take what you get off of them and craft new and unique items in the game, and it actually makes hunting a somewhat viable playstyle in this game, something you might focus on doing, especially on a hardcore survival run. Overall, it's a phenomenal mod for this game, another one that I pretty much always keep in the background now, just like the Fallout 4 HD overhaul, because I really enjoy the upgrades it makes to this world, and it even has a bunch of patches if you want to tweak some things. But then we have what is definitely the simplest mod on this list, that with tactical reload. This does one thing. It makes it so if you are reloading a weapon that still has bullets in the magazine, it'll play a slightly different animation than if you had no bullets in the magazine. AKA, if you finish firing all you can versus if you reload early, you'll get two different animations. It is really, really simple. The reason I'm including it in this video, despite its simplicity, is, well, you spend a lot of time looking at reloads in Fallout 4. And this is one of those super small but super nice features that have become a staple of many of the modern weapon mods to come out for this game, which is pretty rare for a game that is 5-6 years old to get a new standard implemented this far into its lifespan. It's definitely nice. For immersion purposes, just in general, people enjoy this kind of stuff. But if you are looking for combat to be enhanced in a more broad way in Fallout 4, we also do have Combined Arms and the Combined Arms expansion pack. Yes, these are occupying 2 spots on this list, and no, I honestly don't feel bad about it, because I would say either of these, even if it wasn't an expansion pack, just a standalone mod, would have made this list. As in fact, what these are weapon packs for Fallout 4, and honestly, that is incredibly rare. I don't know the exact numbers, but there are probably hundreds, if not thousands, of standalone weapon mods, all being incredibly high quality, and they're probably under 10 full-fledged weapon packs. But even further, one of the big reasons Combined Arms does stand out is not only are these just new weapons added to the game, but they are detailed. They have a breadth of customization options that actually give you unique and different variants of these weapons. So though these mods add in 17 new weapons into the game, it really feels like a lot more than that, because once you dive into that customization, you could really make it a lot more than that. And really at its core, the reason this makes it as the best weapon mod to come out this year is it's basically just like downloading a weapon mod, except times 17, and still only going to be 2 files you download. There's no skipping here. For all of the various 17 weapons added, they are just as high quality as a standalone weapon mod, and many of these could have been standalone weapon mods and would have been immensely popular. But as a pack, it really is bar none. It's one of the best weapon mod options you have. Because as we get into Fallout 4 modding, a lot of times you end up downloading 40 different weapon mods, and it's not really fun. I don't enjoy that. I enjoy downloading 2 files and having 17 new weapons integrated into the level list of my game. They are modern weapons, which isn't going to be for everyone, but obviously that's a huge thing in Fallout 4 modding. But even despite that, they still have a lot of pretty cool implementation into Fallout 4. Whether it be the more unique choices you have when it comes to picking what bullets they will fire, or the fact that it actually does do a good job at taking advantage of perks, something a lot of other weapon mods don't do. Getting to Gun Nut 4 won't give you every customization option with this pack, which I really like. It actually feels like thought was put into this. So overall, if I had to download one weapon mod for Fallout 4, it would definitely be Combined Arms. And then the expansion pack, because you aren't actually just restricted to one weapon mod at a time. So we have an interesting one with Fallout 4 Photo Mode. A teaser image of this one was shown just shortly after Fallout 76's release. People were waiting for years for this to finally come out, and in February of 2021, it did, offering a wealth of options as far as how you can take pictures in Fallout 4, giving you functionality that no other mod brought to the table and you really couldn't achieve otherwise. You get some things with console commands, but overall, if you want to take pictures of Fallout 4, and lots of people do, this is a must download for that, as it really does have so many cool and unique options around it, like even just moving around your character or what they're doing in game to get that perfect shot and get the positioning just right. Now, I'm not a big photographer. I don't take a lot of pictures in Fallout 4, so I'm not a big user of this mod, but it's one of those things that creates more content to consume. Lots of other people with far more talent have used this and created some really awesome things, so it definitely deserves a spot on this list. On one hand, because of how anticipated it was, but also it is basically a fully fledged photo mode, more feature rich than some photo modes that launch with other AAA games. Then we have one that may be kind of surprising to some of you because it's actually one of the least downloaded mods in this entire video. That with Power Armor to the People. This is a relatively simple mod in that what it's going to do is take a bunch of the other Power Armor mods to already come out and implement them into the level list of NPCs in Fallout 4. So now you might find raiders wearing modded Power Armor, which just wasn't a thing before, and that's why I love this mod. There was an era with Fallout 4 modding, especially in the earlier days, where Power Armor mods were kind of the pinnacle mods. Those were the best new releases, and over time it seems like weapon mods and even some other categories have eclipsed that. We actually rarely get Power Armor mods these days, but we have a giant backlog of incredibly high quality and high detailed Power Armor mods, many of which are lore friendly, and this mod will actually give you a use for them. The problem I had was I don't really like using Power Armor in the modern Fallout games, but I still really liked and admired those other high quality Power Armor mods, but I didn't really have a use for them because I'm not going to be wearing that armor. They're not implemented into the level list most of the time. This fixes that, while also making the enemies you encounter just look really freaking cool, and even have a few unique variants scattered throughout the world. It does a really good job at making some of those enemy encounters much more memorable, because now you're going to have someone storming out in a high tier Power Armor that you may not be used to seeing, because this isn't really a thing that happened before. And even further, it actually does have some functionality of implementing legendary Power Armor that is very rare and hard to get, which does feel right at home in Fallout 4, as it is already a feature in Fallout 76. Then we do have Fall Ui Hud. This is another one of those mods that as soon as this came out, I knew, okay, this is going to be one of the best mods to ever come out for Fallout 4. It's going to be a staple for some people to download. It's basically what this does is give you a full set of customization options for your HUD. You can basically change everything for your HUD. Do you want no HUD? You could do that. Do you want certain aspects of your HUD to look bigger, smaller, or just outright different? You could do that. You could change the color. You could just move the position of certain things. And this is all really easy to follow and use thanks to the in-game UI that does with this one. Oh, it makes it 10 times better because I'm lazy, and I know many of you are lazy. You can download presets for this mod. So even if you don't want to spend all this time actually customizing your HUD, you can just download a bunch of presets and have the other people do the work for you and use whatever they intended for your HUD, which is great and a huge addition to Fallout 4 that I absolutely love. Plus, obviously, with your HUD, you're seeing it all the time as you play this game, or you're not seeing it all the time as you play this game, depending on which avenue you want to go down, but this gives you the tools to actually choose. One of the big issues I've always had with Fallout 4 was it felt like it relied too heavily on the settlement system for cities, and as such, it didn't really have many cities. There's really just Diamond City. Obviously, there's also things like Good Neighbor and Bunker Hill, but the city aspect and the living quarters aspect just didn't feel as good as other games, especially Fallout 3. Hunker Down is going to somewhat fix that, as what this is going to do is give some of the locations in Fallout 4, and actually quite a large handful at this point, an upgrade. So it looks like people actually lived in those locations. So it'll implement things like living quarters, more details overall. It actually has some immersion components to it. Like some of the fires that were just on, even though nobody was around, will no longer actually be there. And this is probably going to be somewhat subjective perspective, but I just like the overall design of this one, its core ideology with how it upgrades and overhauls Fallout 4's Commonwealth. There's a bunch of mods that add in new and additional things, but I like how this one targeted specific areas and made it seem a bit more fleshed out and lived in, more practical overall. So before we get into the final mod, what I think is the best mod to come out for Fallout 4 in 2021, I do have a couple of honorable mentions that I do want to shout out. Things that I liked but didn't quite make the top 10, at least for me. The makeshift shotgun and improvised grenade launcher was one of my favorite weapon mods of this year, really just because it's cool. It's basically going to be a very simple pipe-based shotgun or grenade launcher, and feels right at home in Fallout. It's pretty rare now that we actually get some of these makeshift or almost lore-friendly-esque mods, and this is a phenomenal one. The Capital Wasteland Robot Pack probably would have been number 11 on this list if I added one more mod, but it adds in a bunch of additional robot customization options into Fallout 4, but the best version is you actually do have full-on Securitrons that you can customize and edit as a follower. And that's just cool. It's just really high quality, extremely well done, and a ton of fun. Partially because of that nostalgia, but just also Securitrons are awesome. The Commonwealth Responders was another one that probably would have been number 12. It's going to be a Fallout 4 based quest mod that do have their responders popping back up. I love these types of things thematically, actually taking that lore from other Fallout games, notably Fallout 76, and implementing it into Fallout 4. It's a ton of fun. If you haven't played it, I highly recommend it. And again, it really has a soft spot for me because I love the use of the responder storyline and seeing them kind of get established in this area, because that probably would have happened. Project Mojave, do I even really need to explain on this one? I wouldn't be surprised if some people are shocked to not find it on the list, but the reason I don't actually include it in the top 10 is because it's not done. It's like a partially complete Fallout New Vegas world space. It's really cool, but it doesn't really feel appropriate including something that's only part done in a top 10 list of mods. But if you don't know, this basically adds in a subset of Fallout New Vegas' world space, including a ton of new buildable objects, creatures, weapons, etc. for you to explore. It's awesome, and actually exploring around the initial area here, seeing some of those updated locations is something I highly recommend you try. SREP Redux is the Service Rifle Expansion Project Redux. It is probably one of the best weapon mods for Fallout 4, and it would have made this video, but it came out in 2020. Yeah, like I said earlier in this video, I didn't actually make a top 10 list for 2020, but this mod was so good that I wanted to give it an honorable mention in the 2021 video. Anyway, if you haven't downloaded this, please do. It is incredibly high quality, and it really turns the Service Rifle into one of the most versatile weapon mods in Fallout 4. But then to end this video off, we have what is probably one of the least surprising entries on this video overall, and that is Sim Settlements 2 Chapter 2. What was easily and by far the best mod to come out for Fallout 4 in 2021, getting in just at the end in December. And this mod's awesome because it has this really well done marriage of new gameplay features, but then also new story and quest components to keep you occupied over the long haul. It does have this extremely well-written story that implements the Gunners as an enemy faction in Fallout 4, something that the game desperately needed. The Gunners needed more purpose, and just from a lore perspective, I'm happy this exists, and I'm sure for a lot of people it feels canon because of how well done it is. The quality here is immense. It is probably the highest quality quest mod from a voice acting and technical perspective that we've really ever gotten. And even beyond the main quest, some of these secondary side quests are immensely interesting and quite well fleshed out. These aren't short quests, but they give you a lot of different things to try and experience in Fallout 4. There's hours upon hours of new content. Even just from a content perspective, the amount of new stuff this adds in is going to occupy you for a long time, probably more than anything else in this video. And on the feature side, it gives you new and additional ways to manage your settlements in game. It actually repopulates the Commonwealth, so it feels like you building settlements has a purpose. You'll find new locations occupied by new people, get to hear their more personal stories, as well as just some of the general upgrades to settlements and settlement management overall. And just in general, it's phenomenal. If you haven't played this one, I highly recommend doing so. On release, it did have some bugs, but even with those bugs, it was great. But thankfully, over time now and hotfixes, many of those bugs are gone. Sim Settlements 2 in general is probably the best mod ever to come out for Fallout 4. The second best mod being the Chapter 2 to Sim Settlements 2. And if you want to to have a blast. Again, I recommend downloading both Chapter 1 or the original and Chapter 2, and you're just going to have a great time. And you could probably download a bunch of the other mods in this video and have an even better time. Plus, it's available on Xbox, which definitely scores it some major brownie points with me. But overall, it's going to wrap up this one. Those are my top 10 mods for Fallout 4 in 2021. A bit later than I wanted this video to be out, but hopefully you found this enjoyable. Perhaps I gave you a couple of ideas as far as mods you will want to download. This definitely had more variation of some lesser known things popped in that maybe you just had never heard of. With that said though, as always again, I thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you all next time. Later. A lot of times on this channel, when looking at Fallout 4 mods, it's fairly subjective. I'm highlighting specific mods that recently came out and I think are cool, special, or fit into the specific category of that video. But this time around, we are just looking at an objective metric, one that is actually somewhat hard to calculate. That with the top 10 most downloaded Fallout 4 mods of all time. Just looking at raw cumulative downloads, what mods have been downloaded more so than anything else for this game? And you might think, well, okay, that's easy. Just go on Nexus, sort by most downloaded, and you have your list, except that's actually not the case, as there is a huge presence in the Xbox modding scene, and on Bethesda.net, a lot of those mods are broken up into several parts, having old versions as a separate page, and then newer updates or even add-ons as different pages also. So all in all, this actually took a good 4 or 5 hours to put together, as there were many mods I thought were in the top 10, and I was like, oh yeah, what about that one? And in fact, some of the mods on this list, some of the most downloaded mods for Fallout 4 ever, aren't even on Nexus, and this list overall was actually pretty shocking to me. I did not expect the outcome we got here. So again, this one, even though at first glance probably seems really easy to put together, it took a while, a lot of tabs in Chrome, so if you do enjoy the content, you can leave a like or get subscribed. I would particularly appreciate it on this one, but otherwise, let's go through Fallout 4's 10 most downloaded mods, starting with number 10.
感谢不服天下人投喂的小星星。
Busy as ever. Chicago's O'Hare International occupied for 3 decades and became one of the great American infrastructure projects of the early Jet Age. But in recent years, it's hit a bit of turbulence.
Many people had to spend the night at O'Hare after missing their flights.
Though it still attracts more than 80 million passengers in a normal year, most of these people probably don't have this down as their favourite place to fly from. Delays, congestion, and a lack of amenities are common complaints. And since the late 1990s, the place has begun to feel more than a bit tired. But that's all about to change. O'Hare embarks on a multi-billion transformation. A mega project that will give this aviation landmark a much needed lift. O'Hare first started commercial operations in the mid-1950s and has since developed into one of America's leading transport hubs. Built on a site where military planes were made during World War II, the dawn of peacetime saw it transition into a new role as the city's international airport and start to break new ground in aviation. It was here that features like concourses, jet bridges, and direct harbor access, things we never take for granted at airports, all appeared for the first time anywhere. Today, in almost every category you can think to rank US airports with, you'll find it somewhere near the top. Prior to COVID, O'Hare reportedly offered more destinations than any other. It was third by the number of airlines, fourth busiest, seventh largest by overall size. It's big, bustling, and important, but O'Hare is known for some least desirable reasons too. It is most welcoming and trying to support fast children. are 8 running in parallel, which finished in 2028. Commonwealth is in the airport with natural vehicles to become ways in which to do that is the equivalent of 2, and that's where the biggest chunk of money is being spent. Well, optimise the site is the existing Terminal 2, the $2.2 billion global terminal, was designed to evoke the City of Chicago in several ways. Conceived by Studio Boards, a team led by local architect Studio Gang, the building's Y-shaped form was inspired by the Chicago River as it passes through the city, bringing terminal and concourse functions as well as domestic and international arrivals all on the roof. That roof is evidently one of the building's highlights. With steel trusses and wood cladding arranged in a paved design, they maximise natural daylight and energy efficiency, with a glass 6-point star called the Oculus at the centre. Below this, the building's 3 branches come together to form an area that apparently resembles a typical Chicago street, used for events, live music, and informal gatherings amongst the trees. Now, all of this has to happen while ensuring that air operates as normal with absolutely zero redundancies. And that's where the new satellite concourses come in. Equipped with vertical gates to suit both wide and narrow body planes, they're being built before Terminal 2 gets underway, and for good reason. As work progresses on the main terminal, areas being worked on will divert here, and because they're permanent, they'll give a huge boost to overall capacity once everything's done. Now, while work on Terminal 2 won't start until 2025, the improvements to Terminal 5, the one that seems to get the most criticism, have already started. Organising this part of the airport involves having over 30,000 square metres of extra space, including 10 new gates, a move that will boost its capacity by 25%, and making the existing ones bigger so they can accommodate wider-bodied aircraft like Boeing's 787. Areas like airline lounges are going to make over 2, and
This is Troy Anderson.
the old baggage handling system is
Downtown Radio,
replaced.
109.7
There are upgrades
FM.
outside as well,
Can you
including
feel it in your
expanding
heart?
surrounding roadways
Of course
and
you can.
parking infrastructure.
Music is the sound.
It's the first major overhaul of the building
Where
since
language
its opening
fails,
in 1993.
Music speaks.
All in all, there's a lot to go on. To keep this project and SATC on track, construction teams are going to have to manage vast amounts of digital information and make sure that the right people can get their hands on it at the right time.
In an airport project, the design document carries over 1 billion objects. That's so much of data.
Mutant Menagerie is head consultant at Rama IS, a company based in Istanbul that helps part-time builders implement new digital technologies.
Nowadays, airports are much bigger. So it's important that our work and data that they should be able to follow what the airport to do.
On massive projects like this, that's where Tool working. It lets teams easily share files of various device sizes and collaborate on capability. Bringing all this information out of its silos into one place where it's a commutative environment projects. It's like a single source of truth for everyone to depend on, regardless of where they are or what device they're using. Everything from design updates to drone shots and 360-degree images captured across the terminal sites can be transferred instantly to one secure location, even in low bandwidth areas. With Ignite's integration to some of the industry's most popular software, users like the ones Rama IS work with know their information is synchronized and protected from threats like ransomware.
You're looking for an environment, an infrastructure that would be easy to install, that will function online and off-premise, as well as easy to maintain, so that we don't have a lot of support people. Ignite satisfies all those points.
Technology will be critical to grow air one, avoiding the delays that affecting people, which is valued back in service more than 2 minutes. The inevitable challenges aside, the complex work that's about to happen in Chicago is likely to be repeated in towns and cities across America as the country works to upgrade its infrastructure while keeping everything moving. It's still early days for Air 21, and the biggest part of the scheme is just about to start. But if this mega project can hold its flight path, then by the end of the decade, Chicago should have an airport to be proud to go. This video was made possible by Ignite. You can find out more about how they support thousands of AEC firms worldwide at the link below. And as always, if you enjoyed this video and you want to get more from the definitive video channel for construction, make sure you're subscribed to B1M.
这不好看，移走。先移到这边放。
This is Downtown Radio, and I'm your host, Troy Anderson. I feel good today. You know why? I have the best job in the whole world, because I get to play good music. Music that touches souls. Music that speaks to your feelings. Tell us how you feel when you hear it. Drop us a mail. Send us a letter. We want to know how you feel. Now listen to this.
It's Super Salmon Days down at Fish Brothers. For a limited time, bring in any fish and get a chilled salmon entree free. You heard right. Bring in any fish and get a free chilled salmon entree. And I mean any fish. Got a swordfish lying around? Bring it in. Got a goldfish you're sick of feeding? Bring it in. Got a fish that's been sitting in the sun for a few days? Bring it in. We'll throw it in with the rest of them. What we do with the fish is nobody's business but ours. Just enjoy your salmon $8.99 with our famous stew. So, welcome on into Fish Brothers Seafood Themed Restaurant, where everything's a great catch. Except the shrimp.
My name is Troy, and you're listening to Downtown Radio on 109.7 FM.
对啊，或换个位置就完美。
This is Downtown Radio with me, Troy Anderson, your host on the air.
感谢中文面试将投喂的24个小星星和不服今天安投喂的桃花2期。
This is Downtown Radio, and I'm Troy. I once read that the definition of luck is when opportunity meets preparation. That's so true. I mean, throughout our lives, we work hard to become better versions of ourselves, and sometimes, when we least expect it, a door opens, you get a chance. When it does, don't hesitate. Opportunity doesn't knock twice. Time for the next song.
Can you hear it? Listen closely. It's the sound of refreshment. Pop soda refreshment. Pop soda. Belch the best.
微软助手。什么微软助手 ？Cortana 吗？
You're listening to Downtown Radio on 109.7 FM. I'm Troy Anderson, providing you a fitting
他们怎么
soundtrack
全都
of the city life
打
you're
给
living.
我了？
name is Troy, and you're listening to Downtown Radio on 109.7 FM. You're listening to Downtown Radio, and I'm your host, Troy Anderson. Isn't it weird how history repeats itself? Just look at how trends go in cycles. What was cool in the 60s was totally lame in the 70s. Then, right out of the blue, the very same clothes and the very same shoes shoot right back into style again. That's funny. Well, here's another tune for you.
What does it feel like to drive a cloud? What does it feel like to steer a river? What does it smell like to smell a mountain? At Jubilee, we're committed to letting you do the impossible, and now we've succeeded in letting you drive the undrivable. The Jubilee Dementia. The car engineers said shouldn't be made. Test drive one today and experience what scientists for decades claimed was beyond the realm of safe driving. Jubilee. Be reasonable or be fast.
Can you hear it? Listen closely. It's the sound of refreshment. Pop soda refreshment. Pop soda. Belch the best.
This is Downtown Radio, the #1 musical station with the big city pulse. I'm Troy Anderson, and this is Downtown Radio. You're listening to Downtown Radio, and I'm your host, Troy Anderson. Isn't it weird how history repeats itself? Just look at how trends go in cycles. What was cool in the 60s was totally lame in the 70s. Then, right out of the blue, the very same clothes and the very same shoes shoot right back into style again. That's funny. Well, here's another tune for you.
就先播到这儿。觉得这边其实可以